Welcome to Talkin' Bengals, your home for innovative insights into all things Bengals. Follow Talkin' Bengals on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin' Bengals or listen on your preferred podcast app. Now, let's start talking.
Hello and welcome into Talking Bengals. It is an exciting edition of doom and gloom and depression. So thank you for joining us on the show formerly known as Talking Bengals, now talking crap for the rest of the season. Anyways, joined by Nick and Josh. Josh, how we doing?
Hello. I'd like to say Who Dey, but yeah, good enough.
And Hoop, you got good news, right? You're Mr. Optimistic.
Yeah, I don't know how much optimism I got right now.
Well, that's going to be
anyway.
This show. Yeah, we're just going to call it for the day. Thank you for tuning in to Talking Bengals, and we'll see you next year. No, just kidding. We're still going to be here. We're going to stick it out. We've had worse. We're all old enough to remember the 90s and not even knowing what a playoff was, so missing it for this season, whatever. It is what it is, and that brings someone to talk about later in Who Dey History. There's been worse years. There really has been. But let's go ahead and relive the misery of playing the Steelers and losing to them. I mean, if you only win 2 games a season, beat the Steelers. Good Lord. That's what I want. Just beat the dang Steelers. I thoroughly despise them, and this is a kid show. Not really, but we're kid friendly. So we'll kind of keep it that way. All right, I can't even go into it. Nick, get us started on the Steelers.
And first and foremost, defense. Good God. For the past decade and a half, we've prided ourselves on having a solid defense. And then we give up how many 400-yard games? The Steelers' offense hadn't even gotten a 400-yard game in, 28 straight games?
58.
Even worse. I mean, come on. You're talking about a Steelers' offense. Kenny Pickett is not a good quarterback. I wouldn't even say he's even mediocre. He's worse than Andy Dalton was when Andy Dalton was hurt. And that's bad. Okay, and then on top of that, about the only person on their team that caught the ball consistently was Freiermuth. And then just don't even get me started on why did we not run Joe Burrow when we're having not running Joe, right? Not running Joe up the middle. You got to have some humor. Get out of here. We're not running Joe Mixon up the middle. Run him up the middle. We literally did well running Joe up the middle. And what did we run? 8 run plays the entire freaking game? Get out of here.
8 for 16 yards. That's how much they trust him. For a long 4, that was exciting.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have a passing game if your running game isn't dangerous enough. And Casey, you're starting to rub off on me a little bit. We really need to get a second running back, one that can both run the ball, catch the ball, and all 3 and block. I mean, I'm getting to the point where Joe Mixon, he's just not cutting it for me anymore.
Not at all.
Josh, what do you think?
Oh, the problem is Brian Callahan even said, we had plays for Chase Brown. We just didn't get to him. Well, whose fault is that? That's your fault. If you have plays set up for somebody, you figure out a way to get those plays into the game. You can't blame it on the defense isn't letting us do this. Defense isn't letting us do that. The problem is you're not executing a game plan with the quarterback making his first start. At this point, it's on the coaches. They didn't run the ball. They expected him to do what Joe Burrow's been doing and just throw the ball all over the field. Well, he's not Joe Burrow. I mean, this is his first official start in the NFL. He got his first touchdown last week of his NFL career. So, I mean, he's not ready to carry the team the way that they expected him to. And it blows my mind the way the coaches they put so much faith in somebody who is not prepared for the job. That shows me they are not prepared for the job without Joe Burrow on the field. I mean, they couldn't win a game until he started healthy in his second season. So, I mean, to me, that's really where the keys of the game were. It was coaching staff was woefully underprepared. They were not ready for that game. They were not ready for the worst offense in the NFL. And they got torched by them. So it was not a very fun game for me in the household, but at least I didn't get too angry because I didn't have too high of expectations. So that's my back.
To say you're not going to use Chase Brown, the game was not out of reach until the last 6 minutes when they're down by 2 scores. And when they went down by 2 scores, you basically knew it was over. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's pretty much over. But yeah, you could still run the ball when you're down by 1 score. You can run the ball. It's not a big deal. So I don't understand where their logic was, what they were thinking, and yeah, it was a terrible game plan. It shows that the coaching staff doesn't know what they're doing, and I've seen a lot of, I don't know if you want to call them excuse makers or apologists or whatever it is on Bengals fan sites talking about, well, how do you expect the defense to play good when the time of possession is always going the other way? Well, I hate to tell you, the defense controls the time of possession. If you stop them 3 and out, they're just as tired as you are. That's why I never understand that argument. The offense is on the field just as much as you are. The other team's offense is. So if you're tired, they're tired. If they're not tired, you shouldn't be tired. It doesn't make any sense. I get the momentum swing or whatever. I've played enough sports, been in enough organizations to understand that. But you can't say, oh, they're tired. They're on the field too much. The offense doesn't look freaking tired. They look energized. You're getting paid the same amount of money as they are. Do your freaking job. If you don't want to be on the field, stop them on 3 downs. It's that easy. If you don't want to be on the field for a long time as a defensive player, make stops. If you come back after 3 plays from our offense, that sucks. That's not fun. But guess what? You get paid to play a game. Do your job. And speaking of people who don't know how to do their job in a not dirty way, who else hates TJ Watt? Show of hands. Let's just say, who hates TJ Watt?
I strongly dislike him.
Can't really see my hands.
I mean, the fact that people were defending him like blindside hitting Browning after the play, and there's like, oh, it wasn't a dirty play. He didn't know he threw the ball. He does that
gone for 2 seconds.
He does that every game. He hits Burrow illegally every single game that Burrow's in. Now he's hitting Browning. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will give him respect. He is a monster. He's an absolute beast on the field, but he's also a douche. Sorry, there's my PG-13 right there. He's a douche. He 100% is. And
PG-13 number 2.
Yeah. If you think he isn't, I have other words that you can feel free to call me and we'll talk.
You're allowed one F word in PG-13.
Okay, well, that was your PG. That was your PG, Casey.
That was my PG. Right. We might get to
PG-13
if we don't get off the TJ Watt subject. But basically, I despise the Steelers. I don't wish any ill upon any of them, but I despise them.
What do you think about the game?
Looks like Bernsey has jumped on now. So, Bernsey, you didn't raise your hand for hating TJ Watt. We might have to drop you off the show. That's a deal breaker.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, where do you want me to jump in at? I came prepared tonight.
We're talking about how much the Bengals look like garbage against the Steelers. The only games we really care about them winning every year is against the Steelers, and they look like crap.
Brian Finley can do it. Come on.
That is also true. I mean, when you only get 10 first downs, you go 2 of 10 on 3rd down, and your offense only gets 41 registered snaps. It's not going to be a good day for you. Okay. Same thing. When we look at Casey, you were talking about the defense. They gave up 22 first downs, 15 on passing plays. What else?
How many of those were 3rd and long?
How many? I don't have that number, but
dude,
I got stats.
I just felt like it literally. I'm not a stats guy.
I need those.
I'm not a stats guy, and I literally feel like they got first downs on 3rd and long on almost every 3rd and long.
My question though on that is, so when was Pickett looking like the most garbage? He's always garbage. When did he look like the most garbage? When he was getting any pressure, 1 blitzer, 2 blitzers, anybody getting near him. He'd go, holy crap, and just throw the ball to the open field. I would have blitzed him all day. I know people are like, well, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. He's not throwing the ball effectively when he has any pressure at all? Why are we not bringing pressure almost every passing down? Because guess what? The 4 defensive linemen, they were barely getting any pressure on him at all. He was standing back there, comfortable, relaxed, and dropping dimes. The fact that Kenny Pickett could drop dimes, that's a problem.
Thank you for listening
So,
to Talkin' Bengals.
if you look at the second
Be sure
half,
to like and subscribe to Talkin' Bengals
the
on
first half
Facebook
it was
and
punt,
Instagram
fumble,
at
field goal,
Talkin'
punt,
Bengals.
punt,
You can
punt.
also listen
We
to
went into
Talkin'
halftime.
Bengals on
Second
your
half,
preferred podcast provider.
touchdown, field goal,
See you
field
next
goal,
time.
and
Who
then
Dey?
the other down on their last one. So when you're giving up points and a team that has been strategically and consistently good in the second half, and that Lou Anarumo defense, it always helps out. But we just didn't see it on Sunday, and unfortunately, we came out with a loss.
And you're looking at, when they're playing cover 2, with the safeties, supposed to be helping on the over the top. And I can't remember what his name is. Number 33. Is that Scott?
Yeah, Nick Scott.
What in the world was he doing? He literally watched Mike Hilton get burned. It looked like he literally was just sitting there looking at him like, "Oh, hey, Mike, you're getting burned. I'm just going to watch it happen."
So we're going to have to get Sean back on here to talk to us about how bad Nick Scott is, because he is bad. I mean, Jordan Battle, he's doing his best, but he's not quite ready to play. I don't think. Honestly. He's not a starting safety at this point in his career. But Nick Scott is garbage. Once again, I've now called another Bengals player garbage. They better have a great week, because that's usually what happens. They do something. You're probably a really great person, Nick Scott, but you're basically an empty uniform on the field. I wouldn't be any better. I'm not saying I would be. I'm just calling it as I see it.
Talk about it. We can't do it. We're just going to talk about it.
Hey, I don't see you coming into my meetings and telling me that I'm crap. You can if you want to. You can feel free, but I don't see you running my meetings. There we go.
It would be better to not have you on the field and just play with 10.
Maybe we should get him in the boardroom. Maybe we should be like, hey, would you like a job in software? How do we get you off of the field and out of a uniform?
Casey, fun fact, Pro Football Focus had Jordan Battle rated as 76.8 and the top rated player on defense on Sunday.
Wow.
That's over
So
that's over Trey, that's over Dax, that's over Sam, that's over Logan. Top rated player on defense.
So the kid's growing up. I like it.
I feel like they work on
Even
his name a lot.
Even Logan Wilson seemed a little lost on Sunday. I was disappointed.
Yeah, that was a game that looked awful lot like a high school game. It really did. Like, a lot of dumb mistakes were made. People out of position on both sides. I mean, the Steelers didn't play great. Everybody's like, oh, the Steelers won. Yeah, they look like crap too. Let's be honest. They did not look good. They are the worst. What are they, 7-3 now? They're the worst 7-3 team in the history of the NFL, and they're going to play a real team at some point and get crushed.
I don't know.
They're
Are they
7-4.
worse than the 2 or 3 years ago Steelers when they went 11-3? Are they worse than that team? That team
Yes, they
sucked.
are, because at least they had a Ben Roethlisberger that occasionally looked like a Hall of Famer for 1 or 2 snaps a game. Kenny Pickett basically looks like one of us putting on a uniform and little hand gloves and just tossing the ball to somebody.
All right, so let's at least look at a positive out of the game. Okay, there was one positive, and I think we can all agree: Jamar Chase.
I was going to say, move Mitch, get out the way. That was the best.
That
real
was
ball.
hilarious. All right, all right. But
That's
Jamar Chase, keeping his
Jamar
focus,
Chase.
hustling, every play, doing what he needs to do every play, being a leader even when he's not getting the ball consistently. And even when the ball's tipped, he's getting to the ball, making those catches, and getting downfield. The 2 longest plays of the game for the Bengals were tipped balls that Jamar Chase kept in contact with, got first downs each time. We wouldn't have gotten that touchdown if it wasn't for Jamar Chase keeping his eye on the ball and hustling.
You know what he reminds me of? Here, it looked like The Replacement. Y'all remember that movie? Falco just throws it to the defense and somehow a receiver ends up with it. That's what it kept looking like. Browning would throw it to the defense and somehow Chase would end up with it and run for 30 yards.
At first, I was afraid. I was petrified.
Now, I have a question for everybody. Every time they showed Burrow on the sidelines, it seemed like he was dejected. It seemed like he really wasn't doing anything. He was sitting on the bench just staring off at nothing. I really want to know, what was that about?
I'd be curious too. I know I'm hogging the mic tonight, so someone's gonna have to mute me in a minute. But I read a couple comments too. Like the camera only shows him a few times a game. You don't know what he's doing the rest of the time. But at the
It's when
same
the
exact,
offense is out there.
yeah, at the same exact point, you're sitting on the bench. It doesn't send a good message. And I mean, a lot of it is about perception.
They were showing when the offense is on the field, shouldn't he be up there with the coaches trying to, help out the quarterback, give him pointers, tell him what he's seeing?
So
it's hard to give Casey mute. All right. So the way I took it was, because the first time I saw Joe Burrow and he was sitting on the bench, it was after it was kind of after like a couple of bad things happened on offense, and like Browning was getting pressured really hard, and I kind of took it as Burrow being the competitor that he is, wanting to be the guy who's out there. He's mad because he's not the guy who's out there. He's not the guy out there being able to get it done. I take it as him being the guy who's mad about it, because that's just who he is. That's who he's been the whole time he's been here. That's how he was in LSU. He's a competitor. He wants to be the one getting it done. I love that, but also at the same token, I think it is a good opportunity for Burrow to take a leadership role and take out his personal pride and say, look, I got injured. I'm going to be out for the year. Yes, this sucks, but I can learn some things here, and I can see the plays from the sideline, and I can see what audible should be made, and I can actually learn a lot from just sitting on the sidelines. And maybe I could talk to the coaches about some plays that I think that might be able to be ran here to give some ideas when your defense is on the field. A guy like Joe Burrow, he's intelligent. He's able to make decisions on the run. Give him the opportunity to do so.
I'll let somebody else talk before I talk again. Go ahead, Zach.
God.
Obviously being out of market, my stream was god awful, so I didn't watch much of the game. So I didn't get to see the Burrow or not Burrow on the sidelines kind of things. I didn't see the chatter on X, formerly known as Twitter, as it likes to be called now. But I'm with Nick. Take it in, be a leader, be involved where you can be involved. I see where he's that kind of competitive spirit where he kind of wants to hold it on himself. Casey, you and I have both been there, your senior year, my junior year, where we spent a lot of time just hurt and dwelling in it. And like, man, I really wish I could be out there helping this team and getting better. And we just couldn't do it physically. Right. So we've been there, we've done that, just not at that level. And Nick, he was at Ohio State before LSU, and he faced adversity. He broke in there as well. And then if you look at the videos of him when he was at Athens, when they lost in that championship game, he's out there and he's like, it's all on me. I'm going to take it on, and I'm going to make this better, and we're going to get better. And he just continues to deliver at every level. But it would be nice to see some more leadership per se when the cameras are on, not just behind the scenes, kind of like what we were getting from another legend that got a lot of money from a local team that we both support. Looking at you, Josh. All right, Casey, I think you've been muted long enough.
I mean, the only thing I want to bring up here is the leadership aspect. And I do want to point out I don't know if I'd say significantly older than Joe Burrow, but there's a decade there. Like, we have a little more life experience, or close to a decade. So, and I've had different career choices and different jobs. I've never been a professional athlete, so I can't say what a professional athlete does. But when you are the face of an organization, you are the leader, you are the person everybody turns to and looks up to, that crap is inexcusable. I don't care where your head is at. I don't care what emotions you have. Stuff it in somewhere else. You're high-fiving people. You're talking to people. You're going up to them. You're making them feel good because you being around is a comforting presence. You having their back, you saying, we got this, guys, is going to make everyone else on that team feel better. You sitting on your backside on a bench looking like you'd rather be anywhere else. Now, I don't know what his reasons were. It's probably like Nick and Zach, y'all talked about. He's probably just upset because he's that much of a competitor. Can the competitor promote the leader? You owe more to this organization, this fan base, this team than sitting there on the bench. And you know what? We should not sit down on a bench for the entire game. Your legs ain't hurt. Wrist injuries, yeah, you can stand up the entire game with a wrist injury. You don't need to sit. You're in much better shape than I've ever been in my life. And you should have a broken wrist, or sprained or strained, whatever it is, torn wrist. You can do it. So that's just me getting on my soapbox because that's something I take very seriously. But if you're the face, if you're the leader, get off your butt and do your job.
I mean, I'd sit on my butt every once in a while.
Sit on mine all day long. I own the company.
All right, so I think we have all been very emotionally charged here. Let's pivot this a little bit. So
Pivot us, Casey.
What feelings? Yeah.
Pivot us.
No.
Give us some pivot.
Okay, I can't even move on to the next topic because we have to get off the depression train. So we're going to move to a different topic and then come back and talk about it. Let's look at, we talked about the 2008 Bengals in our Who Dey History article. They're depressing, yes, but the silver lining to that, if you all looked at the posts, were 2008 was a garbage year. Carson Palmer got hurt. He was out for the year. Ryan Fitzmagic had not come to terms yet. It didn't happen. It was Fitz garbage. And then Jordan Palmer, who looks identical to Carson Palmer, and we're like, yeah, put him in. He's not Carson Palmer. He's not even Carson Palmer minus. He was like, the Wish version.
He was a square root.
Carson Palmer and Wish, and this is what I got. But it was a bad year. But the silver lining, that's what I want to look at more, was the 2009 season. They went 6-0 in the division. They won the division, went to the playoffs. We're not going to talk about what happened in the playoffs, but they went to the playoffs and won the division. Are we thinking that could happen for the Bengals next year, realistically looking how the division is aligned right now?
I mean, I think they could realistically do it. I mean, really, it's going to come down to what happens in free agency and what happens in the draft, because I think at this point, keeping T. Higgins is probably not going to happen. It sucks to say it because I love T. Higgins. If you're looking for a guy to high point the ball, he is the guy every time. But he's probably not going to be here. I don't know about Boyd. But Boyd's he seems like he's slowing down a little bit this year. Mixon's definitely slowed down. We don't know what we're getting out of Chase Brown. We don't even know if they're going to give him a chance to do anything this year. It's going to be really tough to say. They have some moves that they need to make in free agency mainly before we even get to the draft. So there's definitely, anytime you have Burrow, there's a chance. Burrow and Chase together, there's always going to be a chance. But it's going to depend on what do they do on the other side of the ball more than anything. What are they going to do on defense? Because the defensive pickups that they made this year, mainly Nick Scott, hasn't really panned out. Rookies have looked really good. The rookies, I feel like they're going to long-term, hopefully they're going to stand out and they're going to be able to hold down that back end of the defense. But it's going to be on the GM. I can't even think of his daggum name right now, but yeah, it's going to be on him. He's got some moves to make. So go ahead.
I believe it's Katie Blackburn.
Katie Blackburn. Yeah,
that's a she.
Katie Blackburn is quasi-owner at this point. She does most of the ownership role, and then Duke Tobin does the GM.
Yeah, Tobin's head of personnel.
Zach, I'll let you go first.
So when I was looking at the offensive and the defensive stats from this year, where they rank across the league comparative to the 2018, this team is obviously better, right? Significantly, but It's like Josh just said, you've got to go in there and you've got to go make a splash in either free agency or in the draft, and make it count. We can't continue to just kick the can down the field and say, we got Chase, we got Burrow, we might franchise tag T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd, one of the two, and just hope for the best. Let's keep going to get guys that we're not necessarily prioritizing in the draft, where we should be focusing on secondary and offensive line help, apparently, because those guys clearly need some depth. So that's where the focus of 2009 is going to need to be. Obviously, keeping Burrow healthy, keeping Chase healthy, and then finding a daggone running game. You can't run the ball 11 times. And what did he run? I wrote it down.
How many of those were by Brownie?
16.
Mixon ran 8 times for 16 yards of the 11 for 25 we did as a team. You can't win football games if you're not going to balance it out, especially when you don't have your all-star caliber, all-pro, MVP caliber quarterback. You've got to run the football to take it off. Now, that's a different story when we talk about next week, but you've got to be able to run the football and take pressure off a young quarterback that is thrown into the fire. So we'll see what next year looks like. Always high hopes, as Josh was saying.
I think if we're talking next year, I think that, obviously having Joe Burrow is going to be nice, and having Jamar Chase will be nice. I think that if we're gonna be able to tag anybody with a franchise tag, I think that Higgins is going to be our best bet over Tyler Boyd. I love Tyler Boyd. Okay, he's like my offensive guy that's been around for coming up on a decade now, and he's my Logan Wilson on the offense side. Love the guy. He's a hustler, and he goes out there and he gives it all he's got, and he's fairly reliable, right? We're all human. We make mistakes. Sometimes he's going to drop a ball. He's human. You got to let that go. But realistically speaking, we need to get rid of the offensive line coach. He is the common denominator. We went out, we picked up Orlando Brown Jr. We picked up several key backups to create competition on the offensive line. The only common denominator in all of this is the offensive line coach. Get rid of him. Apparently, he had a really good offensive line when he was in Dallas. Get rid of him. Okay? He'll find another job somewhere. Don't feel bad about him. He's made some pretty good money these past few years. Let him go. He'll be fine. He's probably got a pretty good retirement somewhere. We'll leave that be there. Okay? So he'll be fine. All right? We need to pick up somebody who's going to be able to come up with some blocking schemes and to be able to motivate these offensive line guys. Also, big pickup that we need to make is either a great running back. In the first round, we need to either get a great running back or a great defensive back. And I strongly dislike what I'm about ready to say, but I need to say it. It needs to be a defensive back from Alabama. Okay, Zach, I know. Okay, I'm going lightheaded here because I just said that. Okay, but the defensive backfield in Alabama is strong. They have a great defensive backfield. They cover really well. Saban's got a great program there. I hate saying it. Yes, I'm getting lightheaded. I may vomit here in a minute. But
you need to take a break. It's okay.
I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm a Tennessee Volunteer fan. Obviously, third week in October this year made me sick. Anyways, all right, back to the Bengals. Zach, you're a bandwagon or Bama fan. Okay, so just be quiet. And I've been a Volunteers fan ever since I knew who.
This isn't talking Volunteers.
Anyways,
oh, God.
So real talk for Bengals. Need to get a good defensive backfield. That in looking into pass rush. Third, fourth round, we need to look into a defensive pass rush. or in free agency pick up a defensive back rush or a pass rush. Now, with that being said, Casey, you're talking about first round. I would not waste my first round draft pick on a pass rush. I would use my first round either on a running back who has explosive power, or I would use my first round on a defensive back. Those are the two huge keys. Those are two key players that I think the Bengals need to pick up. Casey, this is my opinion. All right. It's not based on any facts. All right. We already know the statistics don't matter to me. I am not a stats guy. I'm going based off of my gut feeling, right? My gut feeling has been wrong, but a lot of times it has been right. All right.
One thing I'll never spend a first-round draft pick on is a running back. In this day and age, 0% chance I'd ever spend a first-round pick on running back. Second round,
$20 for a hat.
Yeah. So second round, absolutely. Why not? It's worked out fairly well for Bengals. Joe Mixon, a guy I won't name because he ruined a playoff game for us, but he had a good year. It wasn't bad. Jeremy Hill had one good year for him. But first round, if you're picking in the top 10, that's when you can get an elite pass rusher. That's when you can get a Myles Garrett type player. Now, are you absolutely going to get him? No, there's a lot of busts out there. But if you lose T. Higgins, which I don't think they're going to lose him, I think they'll tag and trade him. If I'm going to put money on it, that's what I'd say, but I don't bet.
Yeah.
So you may want to look into a receiver, sure, but you can also get a pretty quality receiver in the second or third round, and make them have some opportunity. But if you could get a Myles Garrett or the Watt guy that I dislike so much, if you could get one of them as a top 10 pick, you can't not get them. You have to get that. You're in a division with elite pass rush from every team except for the Bengals. The Bengals have a terrible pass rush. Steelers, I hate to say it, they're elite because of that one guy. If you take that one guy out of the equation, they're average. The Browns, one guy makes them elite. Ravens, they know how to scheme. I'll give them credit. Their team, they have some good pass rushers, but there's not one guy. But the other two teams in the division, if you take out one guy, they don't have an elite pass rush anymore. The Bengals need that guy. They don't have him. And apparently, I don't know if the league has just gotten used to what Lou schemes and how he operates, or if he just can't trust his defense enough to do what he used to be able to do. Nobody's confused anymore. When they dropped Hubbard back in coverage and then had him rush, he's done that for 3 years. That doesn't confuse anyone anymore. Everybody knows how to read that. Kenny Pickett was successful against that, for Pete's sakes. So, yeah, we're not going to get into all of our draft stuff here, but I agree with Nick. We do got to shore up a lot of stuff. I agree with all of what you all said, but I'd say second round would be a good place for a running back. First round, you got to take an elite pass rusher if you're in the top 10. If you're not in the top 10, it's who's the best player available.
The key takeaway from all this is that we need to draft a good offensive coordinator. All right, next subject.
How are we going to draft offense? I don't think
Say I had two alibis. One,
I was coming back and he interrupted like a rude guy.
I know. Zach Taylor, stop calling the plays. That needs to happen. That is number one. I haven't heard it since I've been on, so I don't know if you guys said it earlier, but Zach Taylor needs to stop
We
calling
did last
plays.
week.
Fair enough. All right. Secondly, rumors have it a Watt brother is supposedly coming back to the league by next season.
One.
Is it the ancient one that's injury prone?
I don't know.
Because I'll tell you what, if you
Three-time defensive MVP.
That
but he's also like 40.
Uniform,
Yeah.
if he wants to switch to
He's
orange
not
and
age
black,
40. Yeah, I'll take him in orange and black. I'll take TJ Watt, JJ Watt, Derek Watt. I'll take all three Watt brothers at this point. I don't care.
we're bringing the Boses as well at that point. Just bring in everybody. We want all
Just
the
bring
elite.
them all back. Yeah,
Myles Garrett's
exactly.
coming into orange and black. We're bringing everybody to the Bengals.
Bengals have a tendency to just get the most obscure players that nobody knows from any other team and try to just plug them in and make them good here.
Yeah, it's
Like
gonna
Nick
work.
Scott. Yeah,
Trade
Nick
him.
Scott won a Super Bowl, but who the hell was Nick Scott? Nobody knew who he was.
I think what you're saying is Cooper Kupp won a Super Bowl, and Nick
Cooper
Scott
Kupp
was
won
just
it.
there
Yeah.
because of the referees. Anyways,
Yeah.
we're not going to relitigate that nightmare.
Yeah, we're just
We're all gonna
Right
start
on past that.
if we
All
don't
right.
watch it. Like it's getting bad.
All right, let's go, Casey. Next
We need
subject.
positivity
Let's keep
here.
rolling. Let's keep it
Off
rolling
the
here.
rails.
Positivity. Let's find things to be positive about. Okay. Let's think of good things here. Good things about being the
Burrow
Bengals.
comes back next season.
Burrow does come back next season. This is a
That's what
no pressure rest of the year. You can just honestly evaluate who's on the field, figure out what the best players are, who should be playing where, and just be able to speculate. This is like taking it back to garbage time for the next 5-6 weeks. And if you win some games, great. If you don't win any games, you're going to be in the top 10, maybe top 5 at that point for draft picks. And somebody that is a difference maker will be available. And the last time the Bengals drafted in the top 5, what happened?
Chase.
Got very close to a ring. So maybe that could happen again, getting all those great first-round picks or, early of every round pick as opposed to the back end of every round pick, and then you end up with Miles Murphy. But I digress. So I'm going to make all of you think of something positive and put out there to the world before we look at the Jags game. Josh, give me some positives.
Well, positives. Might have to come back to me. Actually, positives. I'm not going to have to stand in front of my TV for the entire game stressed out. I'm going to feel a whole lot better. My knees aren't going to hurt as much. I'll be able to actually sit down and watch the game. Oh, another positive. Me and you might be able to watch a game now, Casey, because if they lose, it's probably going to happen anyway. No, I mean, positives, we're actually going to get to find out if we're going to have a good backup quarterback. Browning, it was going up against TJ Watt. That wasn't really a good measuring stick, especially with Jonah Williams letting TJ Watt run straight past him, untouched, and take him down. I mean,
I'm going to say that was Sample's fault, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Either way,
I'm going to say that was everyone's fault. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get to find out if we're actually going to have a good backup quarterback, because we all knew that Brandon Allen wasn't the guy. Browning has had his moments where he's had some good balls, but he's not. Last week, it wasn't really a very good game for anybody. The entire team, coaching staff, all the way down. So either that or we're going to get to see AJ McCarron again. Get to see if he can win us a game again.
I'm jumping in here with AJ. I think that AJ McCarron had a great year last year in the XFL.
He did.
Give his butt a real chance in the NFL. Let's see what he does. We gave Jake Browning a chance. Now let's do AJ McCarron. Give him a real
AJ McCarron
chance.
basically beat the Steelers in the playoffs in 2015. So if it wasn't for,
let's not go rehash another bad memory.
Yeah,
let's give AJ a chance. Let's give AJ a chance, and let's let him try it out. Let AJ try, right?
Yeah.
You gave Browning a chance. He was like, what, 50, 60% completion rate with 2 tip balls that were his longest passes of the day. Okay.
I think he actually had like a 90-something QBR. Actually, it was a pretty good QBR, but
it's
it was all
136. Like that's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great.
Give AJ a chance. Give AJ McCarron a chance.
So the good news for you, Nick, is before I let Zach run with it, he's probably going to get a chance. You see how long Browning was holding the ball? I mean, good Lord, man. Throw the ball out of bounds so you don't die. Like that one hit he took, I'm like, I'm surprised he's getting back up. That guy ran from 10 yards away and just, boom, pile drived him into the ground.
It's preservation of your own life. Get rid of the ball.
Like, don't be a hero in that situation. Just throw the ball out of bounds. You're not going to make a good place. You're not Joe Burrow. I think that's a problem. Is he's watched Joe Burrow like do these crazy falling away and throw it behind his back and all these crazy things. You are Jake Browning. Just because you have the same initials and your number is like the upside down version of Joe Burrow's does not make you Joe Burrow. Is that good?
Well, he was upside down a couple of times to where his number was actually 9. But anyway, I'm digressing. The positive note that I have is that I'll actually be able to watch this game because it is on Monday Night Football. So there's my positive. And then we can only go one other direction, and that's up. We can't get much worse than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. So,
Oh, we can.
It can get worse. I
Oh,
see
we
worse.
can.
It-
We
it
remember the
can,
90s, Burnsy.
But true, also true. The pre-Carson Palmer, yeah, for sure.
We remember the
So-
Shake and Blake years.
Since we're talking about Monday night football, which I can't believe the league is not flexing that game. They didn't flex it. Thanks a lot, league. You just want us to look really bad on national television. Because, I mean, we don't have to analyze the Jags too much. Everybody realizes they're in the run for first place right now. They're head-to-head with the Chiefs and the Ravens for first place in the conference.
Let's ruin it.
Yeah, I don't know how to not be a full-on pessimist. I'm glad Nick's going to be an optimist here. So I'll lead us off because I'm going to probably have the worst score prediction. It's going to be ugly. I don't see the defense who just gave Kenny Pickett 400-plus yards stopping Trevor Lawrence. I don't see that happening. So, I mean, I'm looking at a 31-10 Jags. Like, it's going to be bad.
I'll last since I'll be positive. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, we'll let Nick go last since he's going to put a spin on it.
Go ahead, Josh.
Burns. Oh, okay. I'll go ahead. So the really weird thing about the Jags is 1 week they'll look great. The next week they'll look like crap. You really never know what you're going to get. I mean, they could be the best team in the AFC, or they could be middle of the pack losing to Indianapolis. You never know what you're going to get from that team. So I'm hoping really this is going to come down to a defensive play by the Bengals and at least keep it close. I'm thinking the Bengals are probably still going to lose because that's what probably just going to happen. It's going to be 28 to, let's say 21. 28-21. Let's keep it a touchdown game.
Right. So, looking at their league rankings by the league, yes, they are a first place team in the hunt for the number 1 seed overall. They are middle of the pack in yards. They're just above average in points on both sides of the football. They turn the ball over a lot, and a lot of that has to be with Trevor Lawrence holding on to the football, much like we were just talking about on our side. So get to him, make him get in his head because he is a very emotional player, and if you get in his head, he's liable to cause mental mistakes and allow us to make key plays on defense, which is what we need to do apparently to stay in these games. Everything else, like their passing is okay, but their pass defense is 28th, and they've given up the 26. They rank 26th in passing touchdowns. So if we're going to throw the ball, this is the week to throw the ball and get him downfield, get Chase open because they don't have anybody that apparently could cover him. Okay, bless you, Casey. I saw that.
Score prediction, Bernsey.
So my score prediction is going to be 19-10, Bengals.
19-10. That was a heck of a year, I'm told. Sorry, we gotta have a little fun. I mean, we gotta be optimistic, at least a little about something. I'm very optimistic side about this. If Jake Browning comes out and just looks like garbage, put AJ McCarron in, let him try. Then you can't get any worse. But seriously, I think that our defense, they always play up, right? Defense always plays good against the good teams. It has happened in the past 3 years. Every year, every time we play a good team, our defense plays really good typically. Now, with that being said, Scott, I think we got to eliminate the big plays. The last few weeks we've not been good at that, but playing up against Trevor Lawrence, we know we're coming into a great team. I think our defense does step in and play up. Luke pressures Lawrence, and I think that at least give Jake Browning a chance to throw the ball down the field, for God's sakes. The guy's got a strong arm. Let him throw the ball. Give him a chance. But to give him a chance, you also have to run the ball. So I think that they do take take to the films, see that they need to run the ball and get more balanced. I see the Bengals pulling out 21-19.
I like it. I like all the optimism. And, we're going to close this out today. We've been very pessimistic. We've been very harsh. We're lifelong Bengals fans. We're not going anywhere. We're going down with the ship if it goes down. But this is, basically this is a submarine action. It's going to submerge and it's going to resurface next year. So we're going to be here every week giving you all what we got because we enjoy this. Even though the team is not great, they're probably not going to be great the rest of this season. We are right here because we love this team. I've bled orange and black for 35 years, and these other guys about the same. It is what it is. We get a little bit pessimistic. We get a little bit upset. That's because we're passionate. So it is what it is. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be excited. I'm going to be making mock drafts at some point, even though I despise them. We're going to be here. So, guys, what are your closing comments?
I mean, heck, I've been pessimistic this season so far, but I was just trying to show you all my ring when I was buying my rubber rings. I had to get orange and black, so I'm still going to be all over the Bengals. I still love them, but you got to have a little bit of fun. So let's just hope for a good season. Hope for some optimism at the end of it.
So go ahead.
We got to really come up with the rock, paper, scissors game here.
Transitions is going to be our key for next week. How do we work on these transition cues?
Got to study that film.
Right? Offense needs to stay away from Josh Allen as much as possible. This is actually the good Josh Allen, not the Josh Allen in Buffalo. Okay. And then the other thing I was going to say, if it hasn't already been said before I jumped on, Joe Burrow's successful surgery. Glad it went well. We can't wait to have you back, Joey B. Go lead us to a Super Bowl, baby.
Ending it on positives. I like it. Bring us home.
All right. I think that the only way we go from here is positive. Quite honestly, I think that at quarterback, we know we're not going to have Joe Burrow for the rest of the year. So anything that goes well, it's a positive. I mean, you can't be any more positive than zero. So, or any more negative than zero. So, we use calculators. Anyways, what's math? No, but seriously, you can't get any more negative than zero about the quarterback position at this point. So I mean, the only way we're going to go is up. So what I say is, anybody who's at the quarterback position, Jake Browning, AJ McCarron, whoever it may be, go out there and just give us something positive to root for. Like Casey said, we've been Bengals fans for a long time. I mean, I got clothes as old as most Bengals fans these days, except for the guys that were, Bengals fans before me, obviously. But still, I mean, most of the new age Bengal fans, my kids are older than. So we're looking at, 30 plus years of fandom for most of us. So we're going to be here most likely till the day we die. Who Dey, baby.
So I think we're going to call this episode Group Therapy. We will survive. So with that, we're going to wrap it up here. Check us out. Burns is doing awesome things on Instagram. If you're not watching, what are you doing with your life? If you didn't understand our move, Mitch, get out the way, you need to look at the page because that is the best reel you will see from the game last week. It was fantastic. Check us out on X. Yeah, what?
I was going to say that was like the only highlight of the whole game, so it kind of worked in my favor there. So, but thank you.
It's great. I don't know why the local news isn't running it. That was awesome. But you check us out on Instagram, Facebook. We're at Talking Bengals there. Subscribe to YouTube. That's a good channel for us. We're going to keep doing more stuff there. You see all the reels and episodes and some shorts going to be happening in the future. The artist formerly known as Twitter, check us out on X. We are on there. We're becoming much more active. We're trying to stay away from the negativity and keep the world a nice, happy place. And then, just enjoy the podcast. If you don't want to see our faces because, don't want to see a bunch of almost middle-aged guys, that's fine. You can listen to us on the podcast. We don't care how you support us. Just go ahead and support us. But with that, do great things for America and Who Dey.
Who Dey.
Yay.
Who Dey.